Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, Periscope, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week since I last podcasted. I'm a little bit crazy. I feel like I should have come to the podcast and covered myself in fiber just to kind of outwardly express the inward craziness. Because, the lower half of me is actually covered in fiber. Because if you don't know, it is Spinzilla this week. It ends tonight at midnight, this Sunday. And Spinzilla, I talked a tiny bit about it last week, but I'll give a little bit more because I didn't say much. But it's a week-long spinning competition, and you're with a team, and you try to spin as much as you can in 1 week. So I have been in the midst of that and just spinning, enough to where my shoulder was kind of hurting me and I was having to stretch. So I've been covered in fiber most of the week. And then yesterday we had a birthday party for my son and they did laser tags. So it was 15 kids, 13 kids, somewhere around there. And all the parents laser tag and cake and pizza and all kinds of fun. And just, I feel very frazzled. So let's get into this. This may be a crazy show. It may be awful or it may be really hilarious. We'll have to see. Oh, and I wanted to say, I also, this weekend and next weekend, it's going on right now, is the yarn crawl for the Hill Country Yarn Crawl. And it's this kind of area of Texas where there's San Antonio and Austin and some other different areas, Wimberley. And I don't know how long it is. I know it's 2 weekends at least, maybe 2 full weeks or maybe 10 days or something like that. But I got asked by my friend Cindy, who is Knitting Mom, I believe it's Knitting Mom 65, to go to the Ply Yarn store in Wimberley. And I drove out there and she wanted me to just kind of, I guess, hand out stuff for the podcast and kind of talk to people about what podcasts are and stuff. And I did that. I drove out there and I did a Periscope from the store, and I'm going to try, fingers crossed, to put the Periscope without any of the talking, probably some music over it, at the end of the podcast, so look for that. And I drove out there, and it was an amazing little store, and it's going to be an amazing bigger store, because right now, where it's located, there's not really a room inside to sit and knit, but they're moving to a bigger one to where there'll be room to sit and knit and spin, and she's really into weaving, so all those kind of things. And I definitely recommend, if you're ever out this way, to where it's just about an hour from me in San Antonio, and I think it would probably be about that same distance from Austin, but it's a great town, Wimberley. There's places to eat, there's boutiques, and there's Ply Yarn Store. And you'll see in enabling that I got stuff, even though Rhinebeck is next weekend. So let's get into the knitting first. I didn't do as much knitting as I thought I would. I'm just having some water today. But I did finish something, and it's so cute. This is and you can see the ends still need to be woven in. This is the Aurora hat by Woolly Wormhead, and it is done in some Malum Bee. I brought the tag. Oh, it's Malon's Shop. Oops. Malon's Shop, Etsy. So I said that wrong last week, sorry. And this is her colorway Seaweed. It has baubles and a bauble on the top, and this is a Christmas present for my best friend's youngest daughter. And I'm going to knit another Woolly Wormhead beret in a different pattern for my best friend's oldest daughter. So I think that'll be cute that they'll have not matching, but that they'll both have berets. I think that's fun. The bauble on the top amuses me to no end. You had to stuff it, and it looks, if you hold it like this, I don't know, it looks like a decorative. I don't know. Maybe that's just me it's probably just me being crazy because I have not been having as much sleep because I've been spinning. So then the next thing I worked on in my bird legs bag is my Halloween socks that I showed you guys last time. This is Lollipop yarn in the Jelly Bean colorway, and I turned to heel. That's about it. So last week I was right about here. I should have put on a progress keeper, but I didn't. And I've turned and I'm ready to just work on the leg, and this will be perfect plain knitting when I go to Rhinebeck in a couple days, which I'm getting very excited about because we're making plans with everybody, and it's exciting to see it all starting to come together and getting to meet up with friends that I've talked with only online and VKN'd with, but I haven't gotten to meet in person and give them hugs. So then next in my Girl Cave bags, I showed last week. Last week I had the Aurora hat in this, and this week I have my Rhinebeck hat. I have a Rhinebeck sweater that I'm going to be wearing. It's the Mondo Cable Cardi, knit out of some Mustache Yarns Targhee, and it doesn't have a hood or anything. It's just it has a high collar. And I was looking at the weather because I am a stalker of the weather channel, theweather.com, and it's going to be, the high is going to be in the low 50s and the low is going to be in the 30s. So I'm not going to bring my Hitofude, I don't think, because I need space and it's a really lacy jacket, so I just don't think it would be perfect for that. So I'm just going to bring the Mondo Cable Cardi because it's warmer, and that's what I'll be wearing. But I wanted a hat to go with it because in case it, in the 30s, I'm from Texas, and even though I am from Texas, I love being cold because I don't get to be cold often because I live in San Antonio. But my husband's family is from Indiana, and when we go up there at Christmas time sometimes and it's snowing, I will go out in a t-shirt and jeans just because I love to soak up the cold. So I'm not afraid that I'm going to be too cold, but if there's a wind, I will need something extra. So I'm doing a hat, and this is the Lola Bobble hat by the Knittographer. It's a free pattern, and it's not even a download. You just go click on the Ravelry, and it'll take you to her blog. And I did ribbing, and if you can see, it's a gradient. So it started out in the gray, and this is one of the most well-done gradients I've ever seen. It transitions really well. You can kind of see the lines. Well, you can see them, but it doesn't bother me. It looks almost just like subtle stripes. And so it's going to go on my head because it's a hat. And the pattern has a pom-pom. If I have enough, I will have a pom-pom, so I'll look silly with my hat with my pom-pom, but hopefully it'll be cute. And that's what I'll be wearing with my Rhinebeck sweater. So if you're a Rhinebeck and you see somebody in a pink and gray gradient hat with pom-pom, it's probably me. I can't imagine there will be too many of those. And the yarn, I don't know if I said, I think I did. It's Little Monkey Stitch and Spin, I believe. And I lost the tag, and the colorway is Manderley, which I believe is a reference to the movie Rebecca or the book Rebecca. And that's all the knitting I worked on. I think I've forgotten how to knit because I've been spinning so much, but what's been really good with the spinning is that I have gotten through so many audiobooks. I finished The Discovery of Witches, which is the third book by Deborah Harkness and a thing. I finished that, and that's over 20 hours. And I'm now into Edge of the World. It's a Ken Follett. It's the third one, the final one in the Century trilogy, which is amazing, historical. I'll review those on the podcast sometimes, but it's a historical journey following 5 different families that live on different continents of the world throughout a century in time, maybe even more than a century. That's all the knitting. And now on to the handspun. So as the title of this episode suggests, handspun free to good home, I'm going to be giving some of this handspun to you guys. I'm going to do a giveaway for it on the podcast group on Ravelry, just BookishStitcher, all one word podcast. And because I have too much, I have a lot of handspun, and I would like to share it with you so it's not so overwhelming for me. But let me get started in order of what I have spun. And I think if I'm not totally done, I'm going to keep spinning until midnight maybe. I have to work, or I'm volunteering at my son's school tomorrow at their library, so I don't know if it's wise of me to stay up till midnight, but I might do that. So this first one I spun is some Moon Rover, and it is 420 yards of a 2-ply. And this is one of the ones up for grabs for you guys. And I can't really describe the colors because it has so many colors in it that it's hard for me to, there's kind of whites and blues and oranges and pinks and turquoise, and there's just so many colors in this. It was a Moon Rover Club. This is just a tie. This is not part of the yarn. It's not that fluffy. But it is part of a club. And so if you would like to win this, you can go over what I'm going to do, because I'm offering up 2 different skeins for the giveaway. So if you would like to win this one, you can go over and say, I would like to win the Moon Rover. And then if you would like to win the other one, then you can go over and say, I would like to win the Huckleberry knits. I'll show it to you in a second. But I think that's so pretty. And then, what did I spin next? It's all blurring together. Okay, we'll just say this is what I spun. This I love, and I'm keeping. It's only 2 ounces, or else, I would offer any of these up probably, but this is 2 ounces. It was a club that I was in for some hobbledehoy, and the club was a 3-month-long one, and this was the first one. And so it's very earth tone, blues and greens and browns with tiny pops of purple in there. And I loved spinning this. It felt very rustic, but in a wonderful way. And it has sparkle in it, which is an unexpected surprise for the rustic fiber. And it spun really well. I would love to find something like this at Rhinebeck. Something that the thing is that I lost the card for this, so I don't know exactly what fiber it is. But it's not merino. I can tell you that much. And then the next thing I spun has not, those 2 have had their baths, so they're nice and not all twisty and crazy. This next one has not had its bath, so it's still kind of crazy. This is some Three Waters Farm in the purple sunset or something. You can tell it's kind of twisty. But the last one I showed you, I got 170, 180 yards out of it, of a 2-ply. And this one is 380 yards of a 2-ply. They're all 2-ply, and I love this one. I'm keeping this one, and the colors are so pretty. There's blues and yellows and purple and orange. And that's just a tie-off that I used, but that one still needs its bath. The next one I spun was some nitty and color in the log fumes color. And this I'm going to try to apply today. This is grays and whites and purples, and it is a merino bamboo. And I love spinning with bamboo because it drafts really well. And then this last one kind of killed my spinning mojo, and it's hobbledehoy too, so I loved spinning that one hobbledehoy. This one I did not. It was really hard to draft. It kept grabbing huge chunks, and then I'd have to stop and kind of pull the huge chunk apart so it didn't look horrible, but most of it is that. And then there's a tiny bit of this brown color randomly at the end, so I don't know how this is going to apply up, how it's going to look, but it's done. I pushed through it, and I was very glad because I didn't want the fiber to just sit there. And then I just finished plying. That's why the podcast is going to be up a bit later today, and I have to have the video added on to the end. And this is the other one that is up for grabs. This is some Huckleberry knits. And so this is the other one that you can say, either you would like the Moon Rover, or you would like, this one will, of course, be wound. It just hasn't yet. And I think it's probably about 420, a little over 400 yards. This is browns, pinks, and some very little bit of blue, as you can see in there. And they're both fingering weight to sport weight. So if you would like this one for the giveaway, then you can go and say that you would like the Huckleberry. And if you like them both and you wouldn't care which one you won, then just say either one is fine. And what I'll do is in a couple weeks I'll draw, and if I get one Moon Rover, then I'll take that, and then I'll draw again. And if I get another Moon Rover, then I'll keep drawing till I find one that says either, or that they want the Huckleberry. So that is all of the finished spinning. So I wanted to do 7 4-ounce braids, and all of these except this one was a 2, this one is a 2, those were 2, so I would be, even if I finish my other thing that I have right here, I will still been 1 4-ounce braid behind because I chose to spin 2 2-ounce instead of a 4, if that makes any sense. I know that 2 and 2 is 4, of course, but I'm still 1 behind. This is what I'm going to try to spin today. I'm going to try to ply all those and spin this. This will not get plied today, but this is some gritty knits that I got at the DFW Fiber Fest, and it's this gorgeous purples and grays, and it is 20% merino, 80% silk, and I am going to be spinning this up as a present for somebody who likes purple. If I can get it done in time. They probably know who they are, but hopefully that will get done and that it will be easy to spin. It's a merino silk, so it should spin nicely. Whew, that's a lot, right? I feel like that's a lot. Some people on Instagram have just been posting tons and tons of spinning, and I feel like I'm solidly in the middle, but I'm definitely not a high achiever. And I forget who it was. Somebody posted that they had forgotten how to knit, and I feel that way. And then the next thing that I'll do is enabling, and then I'll talk about group news. So Rhinebeck is next weekend, so you would think that I wouldn't have any yarn to show you. And I would have thought that too. And then I went to Ply, and it was full of amazing, awesome things that I have never been able to get online because they sell out like that. Well, at least one of them. And so I fell down and got some. I did take it out of my Rhinebeck fund, so it all equals out. I'll just have less to spend at Rhinebeck, which I'm fine with because I'm flying, so I have limited space anyways as to what I can get and bring back. And then I have 2 other things that I ordered these a while ago, but they finally came in the mail, and so I have them to show you. But this was enabling from Caffeinated Gert because she had mentioned that she had gotten yarn from Russia, and all of a sudden I said, I need yarn from Russia. So I went, and these are from St. Petersburg, and they were an amazing price for self-striping. Normally with self-striping you pay over $30 a skein, and I believe these were just 21, 22. But this is called Summer Garden, and it's a wonderful squishy base. And the company that makes these is Wool, Silk, and Lace, and it's hand-dyed yarn, self-striping. And I may have saved the packaging that this came in because it's in Russian, and it says Russian Post, and then it has all the Cyrillic alphabet, and I love that. And this one is gorgeous. It's called Jewel. It's different shades of green and blue and cream and purple. So those 2 came. And because like I said, I'd ordered those a little while ago. It just took some time to get here from Russia. And then I went into Ply, and what did I see immediately? It's a little shop, which you'll see in the video that will be at the end. It's not really big. They're moving into a bigger space. So when you go in, you can kind of see everything all at once. You don't have to really walk around because it's all just there. And I saw this. The Lemonade Shop. I can never get this yarn online. I've tried, and it always sells out, and I'm not a good ninja. I don't have the skills at stalking websites, and I don't like to anyways. But they had this, and it was all just sitting there. And so I got some. This is I Love Cake, so it reminds me of funfetti sprinkles and icing. The base is wonderfully squishy. And then the next one I got, Lemonade Shop. This is Toxic Oreo, which is hilarious. I don't like Oreos. I'm more of a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup kind of gal, or Reese's Pieces, I think. the colors in this are wonderful. So got those two for myself, and then I saw some yarns that I'd seen online, and you can get these online, but I'd never seen them in person. So I got some, but these are for my husband and then for my mom. So my husband loves Captain America. It's one of his favorite. He has the comic books, and you know, he's seen the different things, so he really likes it, and I wanted to make him. This is Greatest of Ease Captain America Stripes by Knit Circus. And so that will be socks for my husband at some time in the future. And then next, my mom loves getting hand knit socks, so I got her. It's the same Knit Circus. This is called Robin's Nest. And it looks like, and these are so my mom's colors. Browns and blue, and then a tealish green in the middle. So that is all of the enabling, which is way too much because that's 6 skeins of yarn, but I did take out, 2 of these are going to be future presents, like I'm justifying, and then I took out some of my Rhinebeck money for the others. But I'm cool with it. I would never have been able to get this for a while now, so I'm okay with that. And then let's see what else I have. Group news. So there's a podcast group on Ravelry, and right now we have a hat cal going along. Any hat that you want to knit, any size, double dip with any other thing, I'm completely fine with that. It can be a whip. I don't really care. There's just a chatter thread for that, so what I'll do is just draw 2 winners from that randomly for patterns at the end of the month. And then I put up a thread for a winter read-along. I thought it would be fun to do another read-along and something kind of winter-themed, because if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's coming into winter, and it might be fun to do winter read-along. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, soon you'll be in summer, and maybe you'll be wishing for winter. I know I always wish for winter in the summer, so I thought that would be fun. If you would like to participate or like to help decide on the book, there's a thread on the Ravelry group where you can go and vote. I haven't looked to see what book's in the lead, but I put 5 or 6 books over there, so you can go and check. And I think that's all that's going on in the group right now. And I'll put up the giveaway for the Handspun. So don't forget to go and enter for that and say which one that you would want, or if you would be okay with either one. And then now for the book this week. The book is actually going to be some short stories, novellas that are older ones and that are gothic horror stories, and that you could go and look up and read online if you would like to. And they're just some of my favorites. There are so many great choices. Really, on this, I could have just said Edgar Allan Poe, anything you want. But the first one I don't have the physical books or these on the iPad right now because I didn't want to be flipping through and looking things up and taking forever. But the first one is A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. And it's kind of funny because I am not a big Faulkner fan of his novels, but I think it's because they jump around so much that I can't handle it in novel form, but in short story form I really like. And the idea behind A Rose for Emily is there is this very wealthy, eccentric older lady who kind of has this gossiped about history in town. They don't really know much about her because she's a recluse. And so, as it's a Faulkner story, it's very disjointed, but they start noticing this smell coming from her house. And they don't want to really approach her about it because she's kind of this crazy, insane old lady. But they find out in the end of the story something that is very interesting, and I won't tell you what it was, but if you would like to go read a story about a crazy old lady with something creepy in her house, then you can go do that online. It's A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. And then the next story is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. And this one, I met one of my son's mom's friends. We were hanging out somewhere, and it was our first play date, bringing the kids together. So my son was very little, and we were just talking, and she said that she had her PhD in English literature. And I said, oh, what did you do your dissertation on? She said, well, I did a lot on women and just repression, and I used a lot of reference in one of my favorite stories, The Yellow Wallpaper, and as soon as I heard her say that that was one of her favorite stories, I knew we were going to be great friends, and we still are. She's amazing. So The Yellow Wallpaper is about a woman who is kind of feeling overstressed, and she's having a little bit of just, a tiny little breakdown. And so her husband decides to take her away from all her friends and family into this country house that he has rented for her so that she can rest, locked up in her own nice little room. As I said, locked up, where she can occasionally go out into the garden. But then when she gets to this house, she notices chains on the wall, and it has a peculiar smell. And the wallpaper just starts to endlessly fascinate her as she spends more and more time at this place. And she becomes convinced that there is a woman trapped underneath the wallpaper. As time goes on, as you can guess, she's not allowed out much. She starts to slowly go a little crazy, and the ending is brilliant. So go check that one out if you haven't read it. The next one, Edgar Allan Poe, I really could have picked any of his, but I chose The Pit and the Pendulum, which is one of his stories that actually doesn't involve supernatural elements as much as the other, and it kind of has theories around it kind of bases around the Spanish Inquisition. So Poe has tons of wonderful stories, and you can read them all online. So I encourage you, if you've never read any of his, Telltale Heart, Casket of I'm not going to get that one right, Armadillo, it's a Spanish name. But he had the Raven. He has so many. And then the last one is Turn of the Screw by Henry James, which is a horror, ghost story, gothic novella. And it is one of those stories where it's so subtle. It's a ghost story about this woman who comes to take care of these two children, and they tell her a story about some people who were there before. And as the story goes on, the woman starts experiencing things, and you never know if it's just her seeing things or if the kids are really seeing things, and if the ghosts are there or not. And it's brilliantly written and very much a mind twister. So I enjoyed it a lot. I read it in high school, and I've read it since. So those are the 4 stories that I had to recommend to you guys this week. I am going to be at Rhinebeck next week. Okay, this is been a knitter's dream since I started knitting almost 8 or 9 years ago, who knows. But I am getting to go, and I'm so excited to see some of you, hopefully. I think I will be at the podcaster meetup. I have buttons, and I'm just really excited. So if you see me there, please stop me and say hello, and I would just love to get to meet some of you in person, and I know that there will be a lot of people there that, I wouldn't normally get to see because people come from all over different places to come to Rhinebeck, so I think it's wonderful. If I seem overwhelmed it's because I am, because I've never been to a large festival like this, ever. Stitches, Texas, it was bigger, but you could walk around it in 5 or 10 minutes, and most of the other ones I've been to, you could walk around in 5 minutes if you were just walking and not stopping and buying. So I've never been to something so big that you can't see it all in a day. So I'm nervous about it, but I'm excited, and I'm trying to think up a plan. So I guess my question this week, if you guys would help me with this, is if you've ever been to a bigger festival, how do you approach that? Do you come with a list? Do you just grab what you see and buy it? I have no idea. If you have any helpful hints or suggestions, please, please, please write them in this episode thread. And if you've never been to one, but you have a great idea of what you would do if you were at a big festival, or if you would like to say what your dream festival would be or something like that, write it in this episode thread, and that would be wonderful. And that is all I have for this week. You'll see at the end a short little clip of the Ply Yarn Store, and hopefully that works out and it has music set to it and everything. But I hope you guys have a wonderful week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.